Real quick before we get to live calls and a bunch of other stuff, the Donald Trump tax return thing, Trump continues to show no signs of being anywhere near releasing his tax returns. Voters want to see those tax returns. There's new data collected for Fortune by the polling firm Morning Consult. 45% of the 1,900 registered voters that were polled said that not releasing tax returns make them view Donald Trump less favorably. And 37% of likely voters said that it also makes them less likely to vote for Donald Trump. So what you really have to weigh here, Lewis, right? If you're Trump and you're presented with this data and you're told, hey, you know what? 37% of likely voters are less likely to vote for you if you're not releasing your tax returns. If you're a smart person, you're saying, okay, well, how will that compare to how many votes I'll lose if I release them and people find out what the hell is in there? That's the only logic for why you would not release them given these numbers, isn't it?
That's the only thing to weigh. And I'm thinking that that he will release them eventually. There's still some time for that, but it's got to be really ugly in there because there's no other reason he would have waited this long.
And a lot of the more likely possibilities of what's in there would hurt him. Charity donations is one. If the tax returns show that Trump has actually donated less to charities than he says, 45% of Republicans and 41% of independents say they would be less likely to vote for Trump as a result of that. Trump has made all sorts of claims about how much he gives away. The Washington Post found evidence that he had given away actually under $10,000 in charity since 2008. The effective tax rate, the returns might show that Donald Trump pays a really, really low effective tax rate. If his tax rate ended up being lower than the average American, 41% of registered voters and independents say they would be less likely to vote for him. So there could be some really important and impactful revelations in those tax returns. And we have to assume at this point, something of what has been mentioned over the last 6 months must be in there.
Let's not forget about political contributions, political type contributions. I mean, that could really get messy for him too.
Those presumably are public, but where they may not be is that Trump may be donating to intermediaries,
right,
which then could be determined to actually be donating, for example, to tons of Democrats, for example, which would really not do well with Republican voters. And that's what would be revealed potentially by Donald Trump's personal taxes. So we'll continue following it. But what we know now is voters want to see those tax returns. I've talked about how people of all ages, but particularly millennials, are owning cars less and participating more in the sharing economy. And one of the more popular options is Zipcar, which gets you a car when you want it, when you need it. They offer all sorts of cars, SUVs, hybrids, whatever you need. It includes insurance and it includes gas. You just pay for the time that you actually use the car. And you can reserve the car online from your smartphone over the phone. Then you unlock it with your Zip card. Each car share member reduces their personal CO2 emissions by between 1,100 and 1,600 pounds per year. For our audience, Zipcar is offering $25 of free driving credit if you sign up at joinzipcar.com/David. Support our show, reduce your carbon emissions and your spending on cars. Sign up at joinzipcar.com/David.